This man that loves his dog looks normal, just a skinny uncle, but he is an unprecedented assassin. He is Hutch Mansell, a former audit assassin. During the day, he was a mediocre father. At night, the assassin was extremely powerful, not afraid to crush the opponent. After the battle with the Russian mafia that he reluctantly fought, Hutch was left with a debt of more than $30 million and also carried a huge inner obsession. Hutch has always hid everything from his family and tries to pay off the debt by receiving secret tasks from the Russian mafia organization. Currently, Hutch is trying to balance family life and life in the underworld. Although always trying to do well, his frequent absence from home and secrets kept from his wife and children made his family become more and more distant and on the brink of breaking. Because of the missions, Hutch often misses time with his family, wife, and 2 children. Even if they are trying to understand, Hutch is still making the family suspicious and more distant. That day, Hutch received an organization mission. He stormed into a warehouse. Still with an extremely fast fighting style, everything around him can become a weapon. Finally, he ended the enemy. After that, he opened his wife's message, the person who is waiting for him every day. However, he still had to message that he would be late and not to wait. This made his wife Becca more depressed, and she did not want to try to cultivate the relationship anymore. It was not until the next breakfast that he returned home when his 2 children went to school. They avoided him, not wanting to talk to their father. Hutch tried to cover blood marks, but Becca still noticed. She just gently reminded him, then left home to go to work. Hutch wants to do something for the family. He pulled the trash out before the garbage truck left. Meanwhile, the 2 children went their own way, absolutely not paying attention to their father. Becca stopped in front of Hutch. She tried to tell him that summer vacation would come in a few days. Hutch hurriedly replied that he would plan for the whole family to be together, and he would tell her at dinner tonight. But because there was a mission, he might be late. Becca heard that and immediately drove away angrily. He was absent for a week and now continued to have duty. She became even more angry when Hutch presented his face for some reason. She was like that. That day, Hutch received a mission. He needed to take a data card for the organization. The mission is not easy. Hutch watches at the hotel. When he saw the enemy coming, he followed them into the elevator, then he was maintaining to avoid being noticed. The elevator door just closed. He immediately robbed the gun from the guy behind him, fired at another guy's thigh, then pointed the gun at the name that seemed to be the leader and asked where the card was. This guy was redundant when he handled the person next to him. He was hit by Hutch's elbow constantly in his face and tried to go to the downstream, extremely painful. After that, he fought 5 guys alone at a time. In the elevator space, it was overwhelming, but that created an advantage when he could attack very quickly. One named first phone calls for rescue, but Hutch, jerking a neck clip from the back, Hutch holding the phone continuously to his head, then used the phone to break his teeth. Then he hooked the card from his pocket. A name was about to take a gun to shoot him. Then Hutch, with the hand of the god, shook for half a second and disarmed him. Thought it was done, but whoever had just left the elevator, a bunch of soldiers along with them, discharged bullets towards him. Hutch hid behind a door. He quickly took a throttle to throw them out, exploding the ball. Then he met a group of Brazilian mercenaries with angry machetes. Hutch takes some blood to treat them. He went to the secret location and delivered the card to the organization. He tried to emphasize the difficult details of this mission, just hoping they could calculate the price a bit high. However, including this task, he still owed up to $30 million because of a cool minute before he burned the money of the Russian mafia. Hutch continued to be assigned another mission, but he proposed the organization give him a few days to rest. The leader only looked at him with dissatisfaction. Before leaving him, he just wished him luck. Hutch really wants to have a memorable summer vacation with his family. When fighting with the Brazilians, he saw an advertisement for a water park. He decided to return home and tell his family that they would come to this place for summer vacation. Becca is a bit suspicious, asking if this place still exists. Brady just wanted to stay home. Only her daughter Abby supported her father. Hutch noticed his son's eyes had bruises. He asked, but the boy seemed to hide it. Hutch then convinced people that they need beautiful memories to overcome the most difficult period. He wants his family to go there and create beautiful memories this summer. Becca and Brady heard that and happily agreed. The whole family went on to pick up the cool grandfather David, used to be an FBI agent, currently living in a nursing home. The whole family set out to the Fuzzy Plum in the fun music. It is also a relaxing time that Hutch hasn't had for a long time. Upon arrival, Brady clearly showed disappointment because this resort was too old. Hutch is peaceful that it is historical. Indeed, this place is inherently old and also designed in the style of forest, cave, tropical in prehistoric times. Becca also admitted she even smelled the cigar. However, as long as her husband was happy, she would be happy, as long as they were together. After that, the whole family put on cool clothes to enjoy the water park. However, when they arrived, the park was closed due to an incident. In return, they get a coupon at the hot dog restaurant. While waiting for his family's hot dog, Hutch met a police officer wearing a dirty hat. He removed the glasses, using his eyes to look at Hutch. Hutch felt a stomach. However, he remained calm, took food for the family, and was excited when they have a coupon for the video game area. At the video game area, Hutch tried to talk to his son about the bruise on his face, but Brady did not want his father to seriously make the problem. He said he only played a game and won, so the bruise was not worth mentioning. A few lovely girls paid attention to Brady because he was quite handsome. To get in front of the girls, Brady generously took them all the game tickets, causing a senior there to feel itchy eyes. He called Brady a book and forced him to apologize for flirting with his girlfriend. Brady disagreed. He jerked the teddy bear of Abby's sister and then broke its head. Brady was angry, punching his senior's face. The two started to fight, punching, and Brady seems better. But the manager of the amusement park appeared, catching Brady to disappear. The other senior immediately took a sneaky ball at Brady. Luckily, Hutch promptly caught it. Although the hand is a bit painful, it looks extremely cool. Hutch argued with the manager. When he was hot, Becca walked up to stop. Hearing his wife, he took his family to leave. However, the manager still deliberately hit the head of Abby's daughter. This causes Hutch to grind your teeth, although he is keeping calm. Out of the door, Hutch told his wife and children that he forgot his phone. After that, he turned around, kicked the door, and stormed in, and took down a guard. Then he pressed another name down to smash the mouse and repeatedly beat him. Finally, Hutch grabbed the manager who had just hit his daughter's head, smashed him, and broke his head and hit it in the same way as he did with Abby, so that he knew how it felt. But when he stopped his head, Hutch saw the whole family standing there looking at him. After that, Hutch was invited to the ward. While Becca is trying to say that they are people who were bullied first, then Hutch sat behind and talked to his son. He knows that boys want to protect his sister, but there are many other ways to handle it besides violence. However, his previous action was straight in his face. Brady thinks that his father should not teach himself like that when his father also chose a violent way. But Hutch said that he just wanted his son to live better than this father. After that, the police officers they met in the afternoon took Hutch to see the police. It turned out that he was the father of the young guy who caused a problem with Brady in the play area. Their family is the people who decide the law in this place. They even give visitors many coupons. But today, Brady, son of Hutch, beat his son, so he needs to warn him. Hutch is very timely. He said he would let his son apologize. But he wanted the school police to see the camera that recorded a person who beat his daughter. If it was a police officer, what would you do? The school police couldn't answer. After that, the Hutch family was released. But the real power in this place is the cowboy officer. He ordered to gather people and handle this Hutch immediately. Returned to the hotel, when there are no children, Becca voiced her feelings to Hutch. She said that Brady was so aggressive because of him. The boy always watched him and what he did. She asked what she had hidden in the black bag, the bag she kept from not allowing anyone to touch. Becca angrily opened the bag, but inside was the wine from where they met first. Becca knew he missed his words, so she hugged him and apologized. Both got drunk and remembered the old days. The next day, the whole family continued to the play area. In shooting, Brady was surprised by his mother's skills. She hit the absolute point without pressure. The whole family was happy on the wooden horse. Hutch saw a person wearing an officer who was taking pictures of his family. Then he saw them following his family. Hutch tried to quickly take his family on a duck boat to avoid a battle that he predicted was not gentle. When his wife and 2 children boarded the train, he pretended that he had eaten too much, so he would stay and smile goodbye to them. Then he quickly went to another duck ship, ready to welcome the enemy immediately. The head of the face was raised, just opened his mouth, and was stopped by other tourists on the train. They reluctantly wore a life jacket, sat down, and enjoyed the scene on both sides of the lake. Hutch stood in front of the children and asked what this is. They said he was asked to leave the town, but now he is still here. Hutch said he and his family came here just to create memories. Hearing that, they left, and then 3 big guys finished attacking Hutch. Hutch, the leader, is leisurely sitting and blowing tall candy. Hutch threw a guy into the water and pulled out an iron rod on the train, hitting the puffed candy residue of the leader. Avoiding the attack of another name, he took a buoy on him and then punched his face. The other man was clinging to the ship's wall, climbing again with a stick in his face. He threw the iron bar into the water so that no one could take it. Who doubted the leader had a knife? He stabbed him. Hutch swings, kicking him. However, the old age uncle had weakened. He fell back, and it was very painful. The other man held a knife continuously. Hutch wants to convince him to think of children who slowly talk. Whoever thought he was cut off half of the little finger? More black than that half fell into the water and was eaten by fish. After that, he was punched down by him. Thought that the Hutch was submerged in the tiger, but he still climbed the train with his hands. Lost his little finger. The troops began to fear. They only thought he was a mediocre terrorist. Who doubted the bravery of John Wick? Hutch is crazy to rush into the hooligans, turn each name one by one. Finally, he took the anchor to the tallest guy, causing him to be pulled down to the tiger. Then he punched the leader to ask who was behind them. The whole body wet with a finger broken half. The appearance, he really scared the children, afraid to run away. Hutch called his younger brother Harry, now sitting in the middle of the field enjoying tea and playing the guitar. He knew Harry had returned from Osaka. He asked Harry if he remembered Plummerville, where they had been to. However, this time Hutch returned, this place was no longer friendly. Harry revealed to him that David's father went there with Hutch's family that was actually underground, and those who would not like Hutch's presence. He immediately called Barber to ask about what was actually happening in Plummerville. Barber said that it was the key to many transactions about guns, drugs, and money laundering of a gang named Lendina, and the leader who was a woman named Elena. Barber said that if Hutch was guilty to the Russians, they only came to take his life with a gun. But with Elena, his family will be treated by her and forced him to witness it. She was ready to take action extremely brutally to ensure her rules were not destroyed. It is best not to act alone. In essence, the police chief of the town of Plummerville, Wyatt Mountain, had become a henchman for Lendina. She made his father owe her a huge amount of money. So my father's life is salty, my life is thirsty. The police chief transformed Plummerville into a place of drug trafficking and guns serving for her gang. However, today, after checking the warehouse, he called Lendina and said that this would be the last order because he had paid off the debt. But with Lendina, his father's debt has never been paid. Mr. Wyatt was still trapped with unknown debts. He went to pick up his son without knowing Lendina called her limbs. She needed to remind Wyatt who he was working for, so she ordered the name Abel to catch his son's corner. Becca's parents were sitting and playing to wait for Hutch's news when there was a knocking on the door. Becca in case of opening the door. Luckily, it was David's grandfather. He came to the Hutch family when he went to resolve. When the name Abel was letting the subordinates prepare to handle the son of the police, Hutch sneaked into their warehouse and their goods. After that, he poured gasoline. Hutch turned on the lighter, made a pile of money, and asked them to let his family be quiet, let him rest during his vacation. Although Abel wanted to drop Hutch, he looked at him with fire and immediately agreed. Hutch was about to leave, then Expensive, the son of the police, pushed the car out and prayed for him. However, Hutch still decided to leave, but the next second he turned the car immediately, entered and handled those people. Some of the men opened the door to run out, the inner names he used hot goods. A tall man grabbed him and threw him on the cutting machine. Hutch with the stick on the head, stabbing his neck and throwing him towards the cutting machine, causing the machine to shoot on his face. Hutch rescue. The name Abel regained consciousness. He was about to take the gun, but all the bullets. Hutch shot the gun on the upper lamp. The sparks fell, causing the money to burn, even making nearby boxes explode. Lendina received the news, extremely angry. She received photos of the family Hutch sent by Abel. Although he did not know who he was, he had surpassed his limit, and now he will have to follow her law. Hutch took the boy Mock to his home. At this time, the children were too familiar with their father's overnight doing something and returning with blood on him. Brady and Mock shook hands to make peace. David's grandfather asked if Hutch was staying, but he said he only brought Mock, and he had to solve some other things. Becca was angry because Hutch was dangerous to his family, although he promised her that he would not let that happen. Hutch said it is best to stay away from him, but Becca responded that he had no right to say what she had to do. Although he was nothing, he was still a father and her man. So please handle this dangerous trouble. Hutch came to Mr. Wyatt. He was angry, holding a Hutch attack stick because he thought that since Hutch came here, his life was threatened. Although Hutch tried to explain that he saved his son, he was still angry. He angrily returned, forcing him to be awake because they were the same side. After that, both of them also. When he calmed down, Mr. Wyatt thanked Hutch for saving his son and said that Lendina was a very brutal and evil bastard. Well, they dropped his father and forced him to pay an unreal debt. Hutch asked if she found out that he had burned her entire warehouse, what would she do? Mr. Wyatt replied that she was a crazy person without stopping. She would erase all his blood. On the other side, Lendina led an army to find Hutch to calculate the book. Mr. Wyatt showed Hutch the hot warehouse he was prepared because he knew he would have to fight Lendina one day. Wyatt and Hutch planned her to reach the most dangerous place, Plummerville, which was the play area of Mr. Wyatt's house. Harry now also came to support Hutch. David's grandfather was also present because he was always ready to punch when he had a chance. Hutch went through the dog captivity, he could not help but release it. After that, they installed hot goods around the amusement park, turning this place into a real battlefield and ready to wait for Lendina's troops to come. In a safe house, Becca told his son to keep it safe. After that, she took a sniper gun and then went to the battlefield to find her husband. The name Ben advanced first. He wanted Hutch and Wyatt the opportunity to surrender. Maybe when they take off the gun, he will take them away. If they disagree, this whole place will become hell. Hutch and Wyatt together in unison that they are not afraid and are ready to fight. However, when he came back, Lendina ordered to shoot Quality because he looked so miserable. Lendina's army rushed in. Hutch and Wyatt were divided into two directions. Mr. Wyatt used the dam to activate the bomb, causing a bunch of soldiers to explode. Hutch runs for pirate ship, bringing the puppet name caused the soldiers to shoot wrongly, and then he activated the train, causing them to be thrown into the sky. After that, he watched and activated two bombs, causing the other soldiers to hit the bullets. Next, he stepped out to shoot them. Hutch continued to lure them to the mirror room, making them respect shooting all bullets. After that, he called them this bomb, then let them explode. Wyatt lured a bunch of soldiers to the ball house. They immediately stepped on the bomb and exploded again. Limbs splashed. When Hutch was hidden by a soldier behind the sign, the dog that he saved signaled and saved him a life. Mr. Wyatt ran to the next place. The pool was hit by a bullet. He hurried behind a sign. The two soldiers chased and then shook into the rope they had previously installed. They were stabbed by sharp sticks in turn. Hutch on this side ran up and shot down the troops chasing, then he jumped down on the tube to slide the other guy jumping. In the end, he pulled the trap to finish him in pain. When he was a crowd, Hutch signaled his father. David's grandfather with a machine gun and lewd glass, even though it was dark, still saw them and shot down each arrow. However, a guy avoided the bullet and shot towards Mr. David. After that, they struck too crowded. Hutch was shot in the hand. At this time, another bunch of soldiers at the order of Lendina came to find Hutch's family. They need to make people in the house no one can step out. But when they entered, each soldier was attacked by something. It was Harry. He held a sword to attack them. Each name was defeated by his blade. After that, he pulled out his guts and challenged the face of Lendina's subordinates. Through some swords, the others seemed to despise Harry, but then he turned the situation, slashing his sword. When he pulled out the gun, Harry stopped it in a snap, then slashed his head to finish him with the spirit of a swordsman. One name holding the gun into the house. When he met the children, he was about to take action, but Brady jumped on his head from behind. He made his father proud to control the soldier and protect his sister alone. Wild ran to the place when Hutch was exhausted because of his bloody wounds. Hutch then gave him the gun and let him sit there, and I went to check David's grandfather. When she arrived, only Lendina stood blowing. She asked who sent Hutch, but he said that no one, because he just came here to travel, creating memories with his family. Lendina didn't care much, because she actually just didn't like anyone in her way, no matter who it was. After that, she sent two swordsmen to fight Hutch. These two girls are highly powerful, cruel skin. Hutch is quite tattered. A girl jumped on the Hutch's head and then his wrestling down. Then the two rushed and smashed him in the head. They raise him to their owners. Lendina told him that this place was very important in her business. He would have just been a tourist to his family, but he had touched the wrong person, so now he will lose everything. After that, she ordered his subordinates to shoot them. However, a second later she was shot through the skull by Wyatt itself, who was behind. The other is shouting and crazy Black Wyatt, but finally he was shot at him. Miss Lendina threw a knife hitting the shoulder of Wyatt. Then she took the knife to the neck. Hutch tried to see him in the sky, but being plugged into the shoulder by an arrow. That is Becca. Lendina stood up and the knife that she always hid in her sleeve towards her. However, she was too disregarded Becca. That mother can catch 9.
Gently, calmly, hit the knife and straight into her eyes. Never joke with a mother. At this time, another bunch of soldiers entered. David's grandfather regained consciousness. He exploded the whole area. The Hutch and the Hutch hugged each other into the pool, and Lendina was submerged by the fire. When falling down, Hutch almost invincible. Becca hurriedly swam and kissed his husband. Help him wake up immediately. After this holiday, they really need another one. Well, today's video is over. If you enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to leave a like and leave a comment in the section below. Goodbye and see you again in the next videos.